I want to talk about genetics specific to living a longer, more vibrant, stronger life without disease, without medication, medical procedures, mobility devices. And I first want to preface this by stating that it's been 5 years today that I've lived a fasting, fitness, flexibility lifestyle that I kickstarted back on June 3rd, 2019, where over those years, the evolution of understanding and bloodlines and genetics and the Mediterranean nutraceuticals, supplementation, plant-based whole food lifestyle, an evolution that took me to where I am today, 5 years later, where I lost 120 pounds 5 years ago, and I got rid of the severe sleep apnea, the medication, the medical procedures, and all that kind of stuff, right? The inhalers, etc. But I did that by living a lifestyle, but by understanding genetics, by understanding bloodline, my bloodline. I'm a Bourguignon, for example. And if I look at my bloodline, it's de Bourgogne, which is a Mediterranean lifestyle, right? Out of France, for example. But then when I looked at genetics, when I met the lab in 2019, the evolution of, and when I reconnected with them, I said, these are the things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at ingredients, the consumption, because I understood what I got rid of behind me. I wanted to look at pharmacology, because majority of people are on medication, one form or another, the accumulation of medication. I wanted to look at what you're susceptible to. That's the cardiovascular, the Alzheimer's, the dementias, the diabetes, right? The metabolic syndromes. And I wanted to look at supplementation and nutraceuticals, what you require as supplementation, while understanding that the primary is consumption, the definition of food based on ingredients. That's what I started looking at. But what's interesting when you look at the pharmacology part of the genetics, and when I sit with clients, it's mind-boggling how many clients are on medication that their genes tell them they should not be on. And if you understand ADR, adverse drug reaction, if you look at Canada and the United States, in Western society, it's in the leading causations of death. That's your liver, that's your cardiovascular, that's your metabolic syndrome. Those are ADRs basically causing damages within the body. And it's, if you look at genetics, people are on medication that they should not be on. Here's another flip side. People are on medication for conditions that genetically they don't have. If you look at thyroid, for example, I'll sit with clientele that they do not have the thyroid gene, but they're on thyroid medication. Then I look at individuals that don't have the obesity gene, for example, or don't have the addiction gene when you look at the back of the tongue and the whole gene part of it. However, they consider themselves unhealthy because they're on medication and they're overweight or they're obese, etc. And they'll ask why. Ingredients. Because when you look at ingredients, when you look at your genetics, it will tell you how you should train physically and how you might have the procrastination gene. And if you do this, you will train religiously, right? Routinely. They will tell you the consumption that you should be consuming based on your bloodline. It will tell you the medication that you should not be on, you should not be consuming, or the ones that you should be consuming at half dose or do not combine with. It will tell you so much about yourself that you raise your bar and you tweak. And here's the very interesting thing when I look at my last 5 years of myself, and I talked about the understanding. I know what I did behind me. Before I did my entire family on the genetic side of it, I had lived a lifestyle where I got rid of the weight, I got rid of the medication, I got rid of the medical devices and all that stuff. And if I looked forward at that time, what they were telling me, right? Like you got to end up basically, eventually knee replacement or hip replacement, or you have to be on these pain medication, which I never filled a prescription because I knew about the 1,000-yard stare. I knew that it was going to affect my mind. So I chose to flip onto the right side of the fence and understand the precision, holistic, functional, integrative lifestyle medicines. And then when I understood that in combination with it, and I keep evolving, and then the genetics came in. The interesting part of it is what I did behind me. And when I did the genetics, it was all in there plus more, right? Everything that I did that got rid of the weight, that I started training differently, I started consuming differently, I started consuming based on a definition of food that is to repair the vitals of your inner health, right? It was all in there. Literally, it was like the aha moment. And then in there, it also started telling me if you did this, you'll prevent this, this, and this. And when you understand metabolic syndromes, and when you understand the obesity crisis, and you understand the mental health crisis, and you understand everything that's been going on in the world, genetically, people are consuming and living a lifestyle that is not based on their bloodline, on your bloodline. Your parents, their great-grandparents, and all the way behind them to the first bloodline within you is still within you. And if you have children, you've passed it on. Your DNA, your genes are passed on, and they evolve. But it's all based on the bloodline. And I assure you that the last 100 years of, let's just call it factory everything, the unhealthiness of processed, refined process, ultra processed for addiction, for overconsumption, that leads to medication, that leads to diseases, that activates diseases, that leads to the obesity, that leads to the chronic pain, the mobility devices, is not the part of your bloodline. It's not part of your genetics. It's part of a regulated, manufactured, marketed, overconsumption, profit over people business model, but it's not part of your genetics. It's not part of your bloodline. So in celebration of my 5 years of living this lifestyle, and at 58, staying ahead, and people that follow me know that I have a hell of a challenge ahead of me still, but I got rid of so many things, and I'm running up a gravel hill. And when you run up a gravel hill and you understand that if you maintain momentum, if you maintain pace, if you maintain endurance, you will get to the top of that gravel hill. But if you stop investing in yourself, if you stop putting in the emphasis and the energy and the endurance, you will slide down that hill. And your couches and your chairs and your bed and your complacency will become your friend. Hence, the individuals that, in North America, 50s, 60s, 70s, they activate disease, and their last 10, 20, 30 years of their life, they're just dying longer. They're not living life. So Jean-Guy Bourguignon, from Dimensional Wellness 365, from the Big Healthy Hugs, I want to reach out to each and every one of you. I want you to celebrate your life by investing in your life. You owe it to yourself. You are a winner from birth, and you owe it to your life to fulfill your life. And if you're a parent and if you're a grandparent, you have an obligation to those that you love and respect to fulfill your grandparent duties. Big, healthy, loving hugs. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, from me to you.